How do I know which is 6 and which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5?
Hi, Barb. How are you?
You're gonna start with 6, and it's gonna be 7, 8, 9. I don't know how many are there. I didn't.
Oh.
But like when you go to do them, you're gonna be like,
Okay,
okay.
the
for
first
instance,
one is 6.
18 R6, and then it'll be 18 R7 if there's more than one.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get you.
Yep. Leon,
Yes,
is it official that we now have the keys to the dollar store?
yes.
Okay.
They're in my drawer.
We probably need to get some keys to Bill and make sure Bill goes through it and make sure it's winterized
Yeah.
properly.
I was thinking about that this morning.
Okay.
I have 2 keys.
You know, we could rent that out on the weekends for a party house.
Well, that's what I
And
was
then
wondering.
Jill could keep an eye on it, you know, we wouldn't have to.
If there was any problems, just walk them
Okay,
across
boys,
the.
Yeah.
it's time to start the show.
Let's start.
Would you please stand, and Preacher Oakman has an announcement he'd like to make, and then we're going to have prayer.
As a personal privilege, I'd like to first welcome, or say thank you and for allowing me here, and happy Thanksgiving to all of you as we move into the season. A reminder, tonight at 6:30 at the Robert Wise Auditorium, we'll have our community Thanksgiving service, and it's including a lot of the school corporation bands and choirs, and so it'll be a really great treat tonight, so I invite you to join us. The offering that we're taking up is going to go and help the needy families in our school corporation for a hot holiday meal. It's going to try to purchase as many as we can, so I do want to invite you. Let us pray. And as I do this morning, I want to pray the prayer of Francis Assisi as he says, Lord, make us an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, let us sow pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. Divine Master, grant that we may not so much seek to be consoled as to console one another, to be understood as to understand one another, to be loved as to love one another. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Lord, bless this council, bless the decisions being made, bless all those that are here today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Follow me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Did I call this meeting to order? I generally do that after the prayer, and I didn't. Call this meeting of Fayette County Commissioners to order. Sorry that we did the pledge first.
I'll move to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. I have Warren on here, but he is ill today. I think he's supposed to have brought us the closeout for Bridge 25, and there's another thing, and I forget what it was. Okay. Michael King is not here. He's in Maine. His father-in-law passed away this week, or last week, and he and Amy went to Maine for the funeral. Mr. Havlin.
Good morning. I just want to let you know we're keeping busy trying to get things caught up that hadn't been done down there for this cold weather. And there's some things I've run into in the garage area. They've got 4 furnaces in the garage area, and 1 of them works. And the big one, the quick recovery that OSHA made them put in, hadn't worked since they lit it the first time. And I need to I'm gonna call somebody to come look at it, see what, because it's something, I don't know if anybody around here can handle it or not, because it's a monster hanging on the wall. I don't know if you've seen it or not. They said the first time they lit it, it blowed the valve down in the line coming from the highway, and they had to replace it, and it hadn't worked since. So I don't know why they didn't call it, but it had never been called on. So I'll get that looked at. And they had, we've got one man off on workman's comp right now, Tommy Blevins. And
Okay.
aside from that, it's been a pretty interesting first 2 weeks. About all you can say about this weather.
And you told me earlier you were able to get 9 trucks
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now that could plow snow if we
Yeah,
need to.
we've actually got another single axle we can use if we have to use it. But right now, it's still got a patch machine on it with oil in it. We gotta get rid of it as soon as the weather gets us to get rid of it. Cause we can't leave it set like that. It'll just cook that oil and won't be worth nothing.
Very good.
But we're gonna leave oil in the tank. the big
There's
tank.
no oil in the tank right now.
There's none.
No, I called Union County and talked to Jeff over there, and he said that what they normally do is they put about 60 gallon of diesel down the bottom of that tank to keep everything loose. And we still gotta do that. We haven't done it yet. We're trying to.
So Union County's not patching with their Durapatchers throughout the winter?
No, because they steam too much when you try to use it and you can't see what you're doing. It's actually a hassle. If you got cold mix, you're better off to use your cold mix. But
Okay,
it's nice to have the oil when you first get it, to start right away.
okay.
But that's what he said. He hadn't been leaving any in his neither.
I see.
So I didn't bother calling about it because I didn't want to get stuck on there and then get stuck with it.
Yeah, all right, okay.
I've
So
got-
you need to winterize that tank
Yeah,
yet?
yeah, we got a tank, I gotta find a brave soul down there that can climb to the top of the tank and open the cap up there and put a hose in it.
So you can't, there's no way to hook a diesel?
Not that I know of.
Directly to it, or,
They said you gotta put it in through the top.
huh, okay.
Then first I gotta call and see if Co-op's got a long enough hose to reach up top of that tank.
Which
They probably do on their fill truck, I
On their
imagine.
fill trucks,
I don't
yeah.
know. Morris informed me that they had a truck that was unsafe to be on the road, a pickup. So I told them to park it.
Okay,
Said the brakes are out of it, the wipers don't work, and the floor's all rotted away, and rotted away around the bed. It's the old white truck that used to sit down here that was the janitor's. And we took it, used it for spraying and stuff. I'd like to remove the black truck down to it and replace the black truck, if it's all right. If we got the money to do it. I'll bring some bids in on it, see what I can find.
Okay.
black truck meaning the one you're driving?
One Richard had, yeah. Cause it's like they call a heavy half, and they could use it for transporting fuel and stuff like that. So it's all we use this other one for, spraying and transporting fuel.
Okay.
And we don't have any other pickups?
We've got the 1 ton that they use for plowing snow with, the red one, and then we got the old service truck that come out of the garage. They got a flatbed on it. You can't really put a tank in the back of it with that flatbed on there. And then we got the Dodge that they use for plowing snow. But this one here was more or less for like spraying weeds and transporting fuel to the graders if they're out, anything like that. But I'll do some price checking on it, and then I'll bring them back to you. I'll bring you 3 bids back on it.
Okay.
Might check with Reedman's and see if.
Yeah,
if
I'll
Jeff
check
can find
Reedman's, I'll
something.
call some other places.
We might be able to give Jeff a price range and he could find us a truck.
Yeah, you never know.
So,
Very good.
okay.
I was asked by Morris if there's anything we can do with the generator sitting down there from Mercy Management, sitting down there in the garage area. It's been sitting down there for a while. He said there's a couple of things down there he'd like to move if he could.
Is it the new one? or-
Adrian's,
Yes, sir.
Can it be moved over to the old shop?
I don't know if there's really room over there, but I'd have to go over and check and see.
Okay.
But he just worried about something happening to it over there, as much as they move stuff in and out.
But if it could go to the old
Should we
shop,
put that up?
Put it
the
up at the
dog
animal
pound
shelter.
building up there?
I don't know if you can get it in out there or not.
Probably can.
the Quonset, maybe?
Do you know you got some windows broken in that building up there?
No.
Yeah, somebody's been throwing rocks at it. I went by there, going up there, we took the equipment up there, and I noticed one of them was broke on the front. I didn't look to see how many others were, but if there's one broke, there's probably more.
I haven't been up there in a while. I'll have to go out.
But that's all I got.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for helping us out, Jay.
Yes, I don't know if we've had a meeting since, and we need to officially appoint you as an interim supervisor.
I would move that we make it official that Jay will be our interim supervisor and, make it
We can hang on
effective
to
back, whatever day, the Monday, that date that he started.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded that we officially appoint Jay as our interim supervisor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. We thank you very
You're
much.
official now.
Yep, now you can't leave.
I shouldn't get in trouble now, though.
It does.
Now it's public and everything. Mr. Ellis.
And no, I'm not gonna climb up on the building and put oil in something. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning.
Just to give you an update, I had to go to Kokomo and sit in on a meeting, with the state and the federal government on grants, preparedness and planning. They're doing their usual, they're changing things again. I'm halfway through writing the new county plan, and I've got to go back and regroup on that because of their new analysis tools and everything. They're instituting something called THIRA and SPR. THIRA is Threat and Risk Identification and Risk Assessment for Massive Requirements. The best example of that right now is what's going on in California. That's tied into NIMS. We recently went through a bout of NIMS reporting. That's something I have to do. The response was horrible. I sent out documentation back in the spring, again this summer, and I asked David to put a request out on Everbridge for them to respond. The sad thing, it only takes about 20 minutes to do that, and I can walk them through it. Nobody responded. And what was brought to my attention in that meeting from the FEMA rep was they're going to start tightening up on that. When you get federal funds for emergency response equipment, that is logged in. They know where it is. Right now, a lot of adjacent states in California are being called to bring their equipment in to work with that fire. There are a lot of things that are going on, logistics. You've probably seen the news on the number of people that are missing. That number keeps going up and down like a yo-yo. And that has to do with infrastructure, it has to do with NIMS, it has to do with reporting and how they're operating things. The SPR part is a requirement for me to report any activity within the community, a community activity with 25 or more people. So if you've got a community event, county fair, I've got to estimate the people, I've got to put that in. That puts them on standby for any major event that anything should happen. They already know it's there. They know what the resources are. Getting back to NIMS, it says what you have, and they have a list of the equipment and everything that's been purchased by grants. What they're basically saying is, okay, we gave that to you, but here's a worst case scenario. We need it. We need you. We need to know who is qualified for command. Being a member of the state's task force, if you don't speak that language going in, you're going to get shoved to the side because you don't know how to play. And I want the best for everybody, but more importantly, I don't want anybody to miss any opportunity for a grant. And if it takes something as simple as reporting, then I will just keep knocking on doors until it gets done. As I said, I've got to go back and regroup on the plan. The stakeholder review, the SPR, that's constant. I think what I would like to propose to the city, and the same with the county, that they develop an ordinance that says, hey, no fee, just what are you doing? That they say, hey, we want to have an event, we expect 100 people. The simple thing is a simple form logged in with you, the commissioners, or logged in with the city, says here we are. Now I can take that data and plumb that into the system, WebEOC. WebEOC is the emergency manager's bulletin board. Everything that's going on in real time, whether it's a shooting in a courthouse or anything of that nature, or a hospital, immediately goes on that board. So all 92 counties and key agencies can see it. I have to report into that every month, so that's something. I'm looking, excuse me, I have to do a new hazard analysis as what is vulnerable in this county. I get data called Tier 2, which is a reporting by all facilities that house or store a hazardous chemical. It can be gasoline or anything of that nature. A lot of companies have acids. At one time when Stant was doing a lot of plating, they had cyanide and everything else out there. Those kind of things have to be known, that's gotta be documented. I take all those numbers and plumb it into my programming. That tells you the type of response you'll have to look at, and then that goes back to the training of NIMS and everything else about how you respond to that. There are combinations that normally don't see each other, but when they do, they can add to the problem. Quick example. If you see a tanker that has 1017 on the back of it, no big deal. That tanker has an accident and splits, similar to the one that was on West 3rd Street. You see a yellow cloud coming out of that tanker. That in and of itself is bad. I worked at the water treatment plant on Park Road when I was in college. I was in the back room and someone knocked over a chlorine tank and it knocked the valve off of it. If you put your nose down in a bottle of bleach, that's about 1/100th of what it is. If there wasn't a door that was open, I would have taken the door off the hinges to get out of there. It's horrible. Those kind of things, just like that tanker, that's bad enough. But if you have a barometer that's dropping, the clouds are gray, and all of a sudden it starts to rain, you've got that acid vapor going up, mixing with rain, now you've got acid rain. It's those combinations that come back to bite you, and that's the thing we've got to be very aware of. So at some point, I would like to request some help from the commissioners to possibly go with me and knock on doors and say, you know, this is no big deal, we can knock this up, but I don't want you to lose anything. Because the federal government made it clear in that meeting, there is going to be a time that they're going to look closely at those details, and those who don't have that data on file could be denied a grant. And I think historically there has been one department in this county that was denied a grant. So I don't ever want to see that. I want everybody to get everything. Good news, the federal government has approved our EHP. That's Environmental Historic Preservation Act. That the grant that I got for the replacement for the panic alarm system and the walk-through metal detector has cleared that. Any facility that's 45 years old, or they want to know what you're going to do to it. Since these two items are not attached to anything, you got to fill out 20 pages and give that to them. Well, they approved that, so we're good to go. The grant was for $15,000. That replaces the panic alarm system. It's an upgrade. It's addressable online to look at any upgrades or features in the software. It's a big improvement, but the beauty of it is the old system is coming to the end of its life. We have a new one now, no cost to the county. And then the addition to that is the walk-through metal detector when we have high-profile trials or any other thing that that needs to be done. The next item is the overdose response plan. Yes, sir.
Before you move on, the
Yes, sir.
panic system
Yes, sir.
installation,
That comes with it.
there'll be somebody,
Yeah. That half falls on me and half on them. I'm excited about it
how
because
soon will that be done?
I'm going to submit the PO to them, or submit a request for it and let them get going.
Okay.
It'll be seamless, probably at most will be down an hour getting the new one in.
And our old system transmits on VHF, correct?
Yes,
To the
yes,
jail and the dispatch? How will this new system work?
same.
It'll still be VHF.
Yeah, you'll be dialed into that. This is the most stable that we've had. We've not had any problems. The only outside problem is distance because of the small wattage of the receiver and transmitter. But that was taken care of. There's a repeater in my office that connects community corrections. So we've got outside coverage that covers the entire campus here, so we're good there. The overdose response plan, I chuckle at this every time I look at it. I keep thinking about to the lady that said, you can write 2 pages and that'd be plenty. I gave her 24 and she wanted upgrades and adaptations, and I thought, okay. Well, that plan, as I understand, has been adopted by 4 other counties, which, you know, is nice of them to tell me. But my question for you is, we've gone this far, do we want to continue that with building a coalition? Now, the reason I say that, I sent you a copy of the feedback of the people that were involved with looking at that. One in particular brought up a lot of things that I think are relevant. Going back to the grant, the money that was found to do that was based on research and data. We're good at saying we need this, but what I did was take information that I gained from researching the county on door usage, problems we had, looking at safety among the state of Indiana, and I also told Homeland Security, you should send this out and have people do it. I had a long conversation with the sheriff, who was at the time in Lafayette when the guy drove the pickup truck to the courthouse that was loaded with explosives and it didn't go off. We had a long conversation. Those kind of things can build a matrix that would look at data to help us, that down the road when any other grants are available, that kind of stuff jumps up and makes it a lot easier. So for you, I would ask this. We're looking at health, medical, law enforcement, support groups, and family that would be involved with that. My question is, do you want me to carry on with that? To try to pull that together, to build that data, that research data that can help a lot of people. It's one thing to react to the drug overdose thing. It's another thing to prevent it. And families are key to that. Pharmacies are key. Law enforcement has a drug court going. We need to take all that data and put it together. So my request to you is whether you would like me to do that or not.
Is it something that you can get done, Adrian?
Oh, yeah.
Along? Okay.
Analysis is key. And there's a lot of data out there waiting. When I talked to Allison at CVS, she brought up resources that I didn't know existed. There's no cost to anybody. It's just probably meeting quarterly to get that together, to see what we come up with. We may not come up with anything, but we may come up with a key to a door that we didn't know was there.
So are you thinking to do this as EMA director within your?
There is a little bit of a coordination there because Homeland Security is over EMS and a lot of data. If you go to IDHS website, Homeland Security, and you go down to the second half of the page, you'll see what's called a heat zone map. That shows exactly where Narcan was administered down to the street. And that shows the entire state of Indiana, you know, when and where. When I got into a little spat with the State Department of Health, they didn't even know that was there. And the problem was, when I was doing their monthly report, she denied it. She said, no, you've got to use our information. I said, your information said there was nothing there. But I talked to David at that time. I said, do you have any data on overdose? He said, yeah. And I took that, EMS, looked at the heat zone, and they said, no, it's not there. So they finally had to accept that, okay, there is information we don't know about. And that is something that kind of stands out as a little bit of the problem. That it's the old story of people knowing each other, but they don't talk to each other. And this is pretty much a volunteer on my part. And using Homeland Security resources to talk with a lot of other people in the fire department and State Board of Health and EMS.
Well, I don't think we would want to deny you to do this if you feel like it's something you can accomplish without interfering with your other duties.
Oh, no problem.
Okay. Because if there's anything we can do to help with the drug situation in the county, we certainly don't want to say no.
It's worth it. It hurts to see somebody going through that. It's a living hell. I feel for them. I'm one of those people that's never smoked a cigarette, so when I see somebody running outside to do that, it's like, I don't know what that's about. I don't understand that. And
I don't either, and they come back smelling so bad.
And I don't degrade them for that, and I don't look down on them, I just don't understand. But, there's a lot of life I gotta learn. So that is on you, if you want me to continue with that.
Okay.
And the only last thing is, per Mark, the highway department has their AED. I've got a class scheduled for 12/13 for an AED CPR class to get them through. They've got 3 people signed up, and I put in a notice out for all the departments if anybody wanted to come and take the class. So it's there, we're ready to go.
Okay.
Within that safety committee group, we need to look at drills for the courthouse. I don't think we've ever had a fire drill. And
Well, we haven't in the time that I've been here, at least not when I've been present.
get people down here and show them how to use a fire extinguisher. A lot of people, as simple as that may be, have had trouble with that. So, just trying to keep people safe. And that's all I have.
Okay.
And a lot of that, Adrian, we could depend on the CFD to help us with.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of times, like Courson does the fire extinguishers, they'll bring down equipment so there's no cost using extinguishers.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of resources we can take advantage of.
I'm sure Troy
Oh,
would
absolutely.
love to send his guys up here to help with that.
Yeah, he and I have talked about this a couple of times. So, there it is.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Mr. Baker.
I have another 144 for a part-time employee. Her name is Katrina Harris, and this should be provided everyone gets trained and actually can continue doing the work. Should be the last one for a while, I think. So we're doing is replacing. We had several people leave, and they planned on. They stated to me that they wanted to be part-timers or sometimes part-timers, and several of them didn't actually work out. They just never came back to work. It's been months since they have, and so I basically put them on inactive status and realized that I had to hire someone to take up the slack. And 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 2 positions, and we've had trouble filling the seats, and so that's why you've seen me with several 144 requests for, I don't know, seems like every month. But if all goes as planned, this will do us for a while, I hope.
Well, we hope so too, but if not, you're welcome
on
to come
going.
back whenever
All right.
you need to.
All right.
I move that we approve the request.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Go easy on these guys now.
I'm trying.
David, one question.
Yes.
As far as you mentioned training, and I think we found out shortly after the first of the year that the state is reimbursing us for all of our training costs.
Yep, that's right.
So we put that out and then file for that to be reimbursed, or?
Actually, no. What's been happening is, in every instance, I've just simply submitted the invoice to the state, and they pay it direct, which is great.
Okay.
That's great. Now, they did
That's
tell me.
the out-of-house training, how about the in-house?
No, in-house,
So
everything.
you can build in for the
Uh-huh.
in-house training?
Yeah, everything. It's been a game changer for us. And then the plus for that too is that we're now, while it's still available, the training level can go up.
Yes.
And so while, we have them all at EMD, so we have EMD certifications so they can answer a 911 call and give the medical walkthrough. And then we have them NCIC IDAX, which is required, of course, and CPR, but we're hoping to add things like the same company does the EMD also does law, fire, and then active shooter. And adding those layers on will just give better public safety. And then the other one, what we're starting to add into even part-timers is something called APCO Telecommunicator 1, which is it's about a month long, kind of like a college course. And so when and if that person ever becomes full-time, they jump right into top-tier pay immediately, as opposed to having to go and scramble.
They'll have those
Yeah.
those three requirements.
Those three requirements, and then they've already had the other, in-house training too. And so that just seems like a good idea while it's available.
Great.
And the state told me that it's possible that may not be there forever, but while they can, it's there.
I'm gonna say we need
So,
to really take advantage
That's
of
what we're doing. The one that's looming in my mind is the active shooter one. There's a way to have just like on EMD, it pops up a screen and it's real logical. It has questions. If it's a heart attack, it gives the dispatcher the right questions to ask.
Yeah.
In the same way, under stress, if there's an active shooter, they've never done it before. So having those questions right there, boom, is a very good tool. That's something I'd like to get enacted. We also have an active
And all
shooter.
that training can be done in-house as
Yeah,
well, can
yeah, and
they
then,
do it here?
right, and we have an active shooter policy in the new policy book, so it goes hand in hand with it. It's just something we have to think about and train on, so,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, great,
Yes.
thank you.
All right, well,
Bill McDaniel?
Last night, the city council approved the sign regulation amendment, or I should say the replacement sign regulations, without any changes, without reservations. It was a unanimous decision. And I don't know if there's any questions. I know Leota's been involved with this quite a bit, but I don't know if Mark or Gary, if either of you have any questions about the replacement sign regulations.
I wish our attorney was here, but Bill, you can probably answer this. Before we approve this, don't we have to advertise as a public hearing?
That's the job of the area plan commission. We had that last week.
But the commissioners don't have to have
No,
a hearing?
the legislative bodies aren't required to hold a public hearing. The required public hearing for these ordinance amendments are all with the area plan commission. That's as per.
Can we?
If you wanted to have an additional public hearing, you could, but the one that's required under the Indiana code is the area plan.
It's already
commission.
done.
Yeah, because the public hearing for anything having to do with since what you're doing with either the zoning map amendments, rezones, or the actual code amendments, is the public hearings are required to be held by the area plan commission.
Okay. So this is basically the sign portion of it.
Exactly, yeah, the actual
Ordinance.
approval, yeah, it doesn't require a public hearing.
So otherwise, can you sum it up in a small nutshell of what changes you've made to the existing sign ordinance? And-
Well, the main one is that, there's a lot of changes. It's because basically the first part was, and it took a while, I had to strip out all of the language with the different type of signs and differentiate it between any type of use, any type of language. For example, you can't differentiate on, the temporary signs or any other type of sign. You can't differentiate between whether it's a political sign, whether it's a real estate sign, whether it's a church event sign. You can't do any of that. That's all been stripped out, and that was the big one. The primary things then, as far as some of the changes went, is that, and probably the biggest changes is, the size of the signs and then the height of the signs. And for example, instead of using formulas, it's just pretty much just a maximum height of 15 feet. Individual sign that's not part of a shopping center, the size is reduced down, maximum size 64 square feet, which is the size of the Burger King sign. And a big part of this was to remove the formulas, make it easier to administer. I went through because most businesses don't have signs of that size. Most businesses with the potential, the entire square footage for a sign program weren't using those, so that's actually reduced. One thing that was done was the only change as far as allowing beyond the basic sign program sign size is based on distance back from the road. Something like Walmart or a shopping center is, the farther back something is, of course, it needs larger signs. Okay, probably two of the most significant changes were one has to do outside of the making it content neutral, was that, of course, we know that for years upon years upon years, there's been the portable signs. And that can always be a bone of contention. Okay, one thing that we have in the ordinance with this is that it's kind of recognizing facts on the ground. You can allow reader board signs either on the building, within the window, or you can also treat these as a reader board sign. So that they'd be allowed as a reader board sign. Someone wanted to use something, but it's already in place. It would still just require them to be actually mounted to the ground, and any electric still has to be in compliance with the Indiana Electric Code. The other big one is on, I think you were already on the commissioners last time when we went through the last sign regulation replacement in response to the billboards. Now, one thing that's probably going to come down, the next big possible changes on signs, especially with an even more conservative Supreme Court, is there's been efforts to eliminate the distinction between off-premise sign and on-premise sign. So one of the big changes was to treat any off-premise sign, whether it's a billboard or whether it's a small one, the same way that any other permanent freestanding sign, which means the setbacks from either property lines, the street, and actually the size and height. So even off-premise signs of some type of off advertising still requires the same spacing distance on the same property, which is 500 feet. The sign height, which is still 15 feet, and then the maximum square footage is 64 square feet. So, and the one that gave me an idea for that, I believe it was Harrison County, and they adopted that for the same reasons. And what they have had in the meantime is that they really haven't had a pressure to, say, outdoor advertising billboard companies to actually come in and try to build a lot of signs, such as someone wanted to do before the last sign regulation amendments. The other rules that are still in place are basically where certain signs can go, limitations to the business district, business districts, industrial districts. Still same size signs which previously were. For example, schools or churches in the residential districts, it's still a maximum of 8-foot sign, which is what was there before. They still had the same setbacks as anybody else. And that was what the big purpose is really going over. That's why we went through, eight drafts, was to go through and make sure everything really is trying to treat everything the same. Because the one thing that was clear with the Supreme Court decision is that as long as everything's limited to time, place, placement, distance, things along those lines, you're good. Well, there's a term, strict scrutiny. So this is the one where you can get into the problems. Now, for example, someone is claiming that it's their right to speech on their sign. Now, strict scrutiny is that if they look at the sign regulation, it's a First Amendment claim. Then if it appears as though that if you have to that particular clause, they're challenging. If you have to read the sign and know how to regulate it, it's First Amendment. Now, the problem that comes in with the strict scrutiny is that the burden of proof is now on the jurisdiction. So which means that, say, if it's in Fayette County or within the city of Connersville, so that means that the Plan Commission, the city and the county, we all have to then demonstrate that that particular regulation is the bare minimum needed to support the public purpose, which the primary public purpose with this sign regulations and most others are, it's public safety. Trying to make sure it's, not blocking views of drives, it's, that's primarily it. And that's where the placement comes in place, such as even the, that setback from the roads, there's the spacing, elevation between 3 feet and then, the 12 feet. Well, that part can't be within the, even if it's on, if there's a larger setback for that, because, as you pull up, I think all of us have pulled up to an intersection and the sign is blocking our views of traffic. And that's trying to avoid, we have a couple of those currently, but those are all, you can't change them when they're in place right now. Those are grandfathered because they can't be moved without a great expense to the property owner. And the one in particular, it should probably be no right-hand turn, really.
So basically, this ordinance will 95% of our franchise companies that come into, want to come into town, they won't have to go through the trouble of a special exception.
No, they
to
don't
get
have to
their
do a special
franchise signs.
exception, they don't have to do a variance. For some reason, on the sign table, it says there is a maximum size they can go up to with a variance, but the key with the variance is to do a dimensional, your development standards, is there has to be some type of physical hardship to your requirement. And that could be something along the lines of, say, their particular property, it's where they have to put the sign as if they're impression, something along those lines. Yeah.
So our APC is actually trying to make it easier for new businesses to come to
Oh,
town then,
absolutely.
with this ordinance.
Yeah, and that's one of the ideas of, because if I recall, there were a lot of formulas in the existing one, and it really tried to reduce the formulas. And it was, because one of the big questions I had, and I think Leota probably remembers this, was do we go with regulations that are just put everything in prose or use the tables? And as Mr. Crawford, as he also used to work for me previously with the zoning code, is he said, for him, someone who's actually had to enforce the codes in the past, he said it made it a lot easier for him to use the tables. And so I was trying to just put everything in the one location.
Well, I appreciate your work on it, Bill.
I appreciate you stating that. It makes a big difference to know that the effort that when you put into things, a lot of effort and a lot of time is appreciated.
So you need a motion to approve this ordinance?
Yeah, for you to
Presented?
adopt the ordinance.
Or to adopt the ordinance?
Yep.
Madam President, I'd move that we adopt the new sign ordinance for the county.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
It's time to go out in the wet and do some inspections.
It's been a long time coming. Thank you.
Yes, okay, thank you very much.
Mail. We have a letter from Henry County Commissioners that was sent to each of the commissioners. In Henry County, we are in the early stages of discussing and planning the construction of a new detention and correctional facility. Currently, we are seeking the assistance of Ball State University Criminal Justice Program in assisting us with the planning process. During the early planning process, many committee members have suggested that the Henry County Commissioners contact surrounding communities to see if there is any interest in sharing or consolidating with the detention and or rehab facility as a regional jail concept that is referred by Indiana law. If you have any interest or would like to have a discussion concerning the concept of a regionalization facility, contact me at the Commissioner's offices at 765-529-4705 or my cell phone. Thank you for your time and consideration. This is from Kim Cronk, Henry County Commissioner. And we will probably be meeting with him because there is no way that Fayette County can provide themselves with a new jail. I know that we have a problem and need more room in our facility. And if they could take the Title VI prisoners that we were blessed with by the ruling by the state legislature, it would certainly help us, and then we could just handle the people who were being held for trial. But anybody that was sentenced would go on to this detention facility. So we'll be trying to do some talk with them. It's not gonna happen during my term, but Gary and Mark are interested, and I will still be interested as a concerned citizen for the facility in Fayette County. So are there any questions or anything from the audience? Do you fellows have anything to say? Other than we'll be trying to do what we can
I
with
think it's
this.
an out of the box thinking, outside the box thinking on our correctional facilities. I think it's worth at least sitting with
It's
the
worth
Henry County
looking into.
commissioners and some of the other commissioners.
Would certainly be a big help.
May not go anywhere, but at least it'd be,
Don't hurt to listen.
yeah.
It's something we can look into. Do we have any old business?
Madam President, under old business, the dollar store purchase,
Yes.
we have officially closed on that building. It's my understanding.
Yes.
And we do have the keys, so we'll be getting those set of keys to our maintenance supervisor to make sure that that building is properly winterized and ready for winter.
Yes.
And I guess we have talked about the need for expanding our women's correctional programs with work release
Yes.
and a secured block as well with the sheriff. And I would like to put out feelers for architectural firms to help us with the feasibility study, because we need to look at all of our options as far as, I think we have the old jail and that we use currently as an annex, and that dollar store that we need to look at what would make the most sense and the most cost effectiveness to the taxpayers. And we could get those answers through a feasibility study. And I guess I'd like to put feelers out to all those firms that have and do correctional plannings, that they would submit a proposal to us if they're interested in helping us with that, so that we can analyze those proposals. We do have officially received one from DLZ currently, and I'll ask Jane to keep that on file for us, and we'll give those companies a couple weeks, 3 or 4 weeks to get some proposals into us, and I'd like for us to look at it. Most likely we'll be looking at them after the first of the year, realistically. Probably won't be able to get all the offers in. If we get several offers in before the first of the year, maybe we can at least accept that contract prior to that. But I just think it's important that we do look at what's the most cost effective for our taxpayers and productive for our correctional needs at the same time. And I think we can get those answers through that feasibility study before we go nailing 2 before up.
Yes.
So, with that, we've already had a couple of interests, DLZ and Elevate Us, I think, are interested, and there may be some others out there that most likely would be interested in submitting us a
Do you
study
think we need
cost.
to just advertise then for, or just contact the architectural firms that we know?
I think probably we can put out feelers enough through this. I think a lot of those companies watch our meetings
Yes.
and check on things like this, so I think if they're doing their job, they'll be beating down our door.
I may be able to talk to some next week at the commissioners'
And
conference.
you can pass it on up there too.
Yes,
That'll be the place to
yes.
get the word of mouth out. But I bet they'll be hitting you before you hit them.
Yeah, they'll probably find my name, since they know that we're interested.
And then,
The word kind of gets around.
yeah, and then I don't know that we've officially done anything, but I thought maybe we ought to discuss the advertising for a highway director.
Yes.
And maybe instructing Jane to officially get us an advertisement put together for a highway director. I did start the conversation with the council, and they were fairly receptive of it. The possibility of looking at trying to find an engineer that might be interested in that position. And they're interested in the possibility of being willing to fund the needs for that.
Okay.
But it might be, with Warren going out and the highway director going out, it might be the proper time to start looking at maybe combining those two positions as an engineer rather than the surveyor
Yes.
was our engineer
But
combination.
when you advertise it, should we advertise both ways?
Well, I wonder if we shouldn't,
That way we could pick off either way.
up to a engineer, interested, and up to a licensed engineer, maybe. If the rest of the board doesn't mind, I think we need to ask Jane to go ahead and create that advertisement for us. Do we want to set that deadline by our third meeting to get those resumes in? Or set the second meeting in December? Is that ample time to get the advertisement, or do we want to go after the first
Bad
of the
time of
year?
year because you got Thanksgiving
And Christmas
in
and
there.
holidays. We're finishing up, Leota's finishing her career.
Yeah,
as-
and then we also got a time limit on Jay
Yeah,
being able to set in.
he has given us,
He said he would work till the first of the year.
So we ought to go ahead and proceed.
so then let's,
If we advertise, do you think it's gonna be
the 16th would be,
the 18th?
or the 18th.
Is our
yeah.
next meeting.
Yeah.
Well, the next meeting is the 4th, but the 18th would be
Hey, Jane,
the
go.
second meeting.
Talk to us. Come on. We want your opinion too.
Yeah, for advertising and getting resumes back in, do you think we should wait till the 18th to
I would definitely wait till late 18.
make that deadline?
Yeah,
Okay.
that would give us more time. Mr. Robertson?
I can reach out to the County Highway Engineers and Supervisors Association for you. They can put it on their listserv, and
Okay.
just in case there may be somebody out there might be looking to move or somewhere.
Yeah.
And also, you might put an advertisement at LTAP.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're on the listserv too, it goes out to a lot of different people. And Derek with USI and we can also pass out word out to people that we see that you're looking for an engineer, supervisor, highway director, or whatever,
Mhm.
and so forth, to try to get in contact.
Very
Okay,
good.
we appreciate that help. Thank you.
Because our elected surveyor does not have an engineering degree, and we're going to miss that capability that Warren had to be able to write contracts and do the engineering part of our proposals, community crossings. If we don't get somebody, a highway engineer that has that, we're going to have to hire an engineer on the side to help us write for these grants and proposals with NDOT. All right.
I think that's all the old business.
I've got one thing. On the first aid department, they come here and they wanted us to rescind our ordinance.
Mhm.
You wouldn't hear, so I figured we all should be here on something like that. And myself, I don't think it should be rescinded. It's up to you guys what you think too, so.
Well, I guess I'm of the opinion, from what I understood, there wasn't any solid numbers or anything given. And I think, my personal opinion is, I just think stick with the resolution till the numbers
God,
come to us. I mean,
should we have a motion for it and to maintain our ordinance?
I would move that we continue to maintain that resolution referencing to the EMS building use.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded that we continue to retain the ordinance or
It was a
resolution.
resolution.
The resolution to keep the EMS unit in the current facility. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nay. There's 2 ayes, 1 nay.
Well, I might add too that, like I said, I just want to know some numbers. I mean, if you're talking about changing buildings, then
There ought to be something there to.
show me the cost of staying in this building versus going to this building.
Money.
You know,
Yeah, the funding is very questionable on that situation, so.
I'm not totally opposed to them switching, but I just want to see some numbers.
Do something up front.
I was led
I
down a
think-
blind road once as commissioner before, and I learned my lesson on those projects.
Wayne White is not here, but I would recommend that we replace Betty Thielking, who has health issues. Wayne says that they're having a problem with getting a quorum because Betty's not able to attend their meetings. And I would like to recommend Julia Robbins, who's a registered nurse with Fayette Regional,
Oh, Julie.
for that position.
Was that his,
Yes, he agreed to that. I called him and talked to him.
and this term is,
I really don't know. When is Betty's term up, do we know? They have a meeting
it'll
next-
fulfill
next
her
month.
term.
Yes.
Okay.
She's been reappointed time and time again, and,
Okay.
but we'll appoint Betty Thielking,
I
or
just want
Julia
to make sure
Robbins.
that we have it in the minutes, that Jane can put it in the minutes, that what the term is, and to finish it out, so that
We'll have to check,
we'll stay on top
Yes.
of it.
yes.
Her term would have expired in '21.
Okay, all right. I'd move that we appoint Julie Robbins to fulfill
Betty Thielking's term.
Betty Tilking's term on the County Health Board.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. Tom Flutterman, Gilligan Water Corporation, for revised scope of work. Oh, Donna's gonna do all the talking. Okay.
Haven't even started yet, and you're already revising it.
Thank you, appreciate it. I just wanted to update you a little bit on the scope of work, because we changed, it has been changed somewhat since the last time I was here. We're going, due to some budget constraints, we had to take out State Road 1, some water main extensions there. However, we did extend it on down Little Bear a little bit, so.
Donna, will you please pull the
Oh.
microphone down?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. So we will be, the one thing that we added, that will be cutting and capping an old 6-inch water main that was installed across a farm field back in 1968 to supply the water to the storage tank. since then, this line has been replaced with an 8-inch main. So we no longer need that line, so we're gonna abandon it, just cut it and cap it off. And we're still going to remove the old elevated water storage tank and construct a new one. And then we're going to still add on to the water treatment plant, the office and laboratory space, and then also a restroom and shower for the operator. Right now, he has to travel 7 miles to use the restroom, or, you know, there's chemicals in there that he has to deal with, and if he gets those on him, you know, it's just a health and safety hazard too.
Yes.
Plus, I mean, that's not that's a necessity, not something that is a luxury anymore, so we want to at least give him a restroom. As far as the water line extensions go, we're still gonna go down County Road 100 East, all the way to Little Bear Road. We're gonna connect to a line that we have existing now on 100 East. It'll go down about 1,200 feet, 1,265 to be exact, to Little Bear Road. And that'll pick up, I think, one customer on that road that we'll be able to serve. And then it's gonna be a 4-inch line. All these will be 4-inch lines. And then it's going to extend east on Little Bear Road to connect to a 3-inch line we have there. So this is gonna loop the system, which is gonna give it better water pressure, better, you know, it's gonna make for a safer water system. There we're gonna pick up 5 new customers. And then we're going to extend it west on Little Bear Road, about 2,300 feet. And there we'll pick up 6 new customers. So that's kind of the changes that we've made due to budget constraints. So, any questions on the scope of work?
Any county road crossings?
We,
Probably will be, yeah.
Will they be bored or?
I would say that most of them will be bored, they'll probably be bored. And they're getting to that point now, they don't want to dig up any more than they have to themselves, so.
right.
We can
So you wouldn't-
We can specify they'd be bored.
I was gonna say, would you object to us approving that? Don't we have to approve the scope of work today
Okay,
We also want to get your approval on right-of-ways.
exactly.
in the right of ways?
Right.
So you wouldn't object to us including that in that motion? Okay. Tom, you probably could answer this, maybe, as far as fire protection, is that 4-inch line adequate for?
Yeah, it's not big enough, not enough flow there for fire protection. There will be a flush hydrant at the end of the line. They can use that to fill their tanker, but they can't hook the fire hose directly to the flush hydrant.
Okay,
So there is, but sometimes.
so it's really not gonna help the residents as far as their insurance ratings,
It will help some. It won't help as much as. having
what it could
Yeah.
if it was a 6 or 8-inch
But it
line?
will help some because the fire truck doesn't have to go all the way back there to fill up. They
Okay,
can fill up right down the quarter.
they'll have a
down
water
the-
source within,
Yeah.
inside that diameter,
Yeah.
the ISO rating
I
diameter.
think it will help, but I don't know how much.
Okay.
I don't know what the reading does. I don't know,
All right. When you were looking at these expansions, did you look at, okay, what's it gonna cost us to improve fire ratings and whatnot?
so. In order to do that, you have to have a
Versus-
6-inch line, and there's not a 6-inch line going to that. Little Bear is only 3 inches. County Road 100, it's only like 4 inches. And they, back when they put those in, they didn't have the inside of, 3
That's
inches
what I
big
was-
enough.
They weren't thinking that far ahead, right?
No.
But I didn't know whether, at some point in time, we have to start thinking about
Can the person make the
insight,
difference?
have that insight.
I personally would like to see a 6-inch line go in on this new extension.
Well, that's what
For
I'm,
the simple fact that maybe someday we
Later
can
on.
get another grant to go down Little Bear
and
put another
replace
6-inch
those.
line
Yeah,
and hook into that, and you would have that. But it comes down again to money and the grants saying, well, what do you need a 6-inch line for? You don't have one feeding it. And she could answer that question better than I can.
I mean, is there any way to justify that future planning in this grant to upgrade that to a 6, or?
I think it came down to dollars and cents too, as far as,
It came down to that, but since we're eliminating this, the State Road 1 project, there's a possibility there's gonna be enough money in there to do that, I would think. I don't know.
I mean, I'm just trying to think outside the box on
Digging,
this.
what, you're digging a hole, whether you put a 6-inch line or
Yeah.
a 4-inch line, really doesn't, it's just a matter of.
It's the
price
cost of the
pipe.
pipe.
The pipe. So, that's something we can look into, but she's got time constraints.
Mhm.
We could ask the engineer on that, see what he says. So,
I-
but yeah, personally, I'd like to see that happen, but then who's to say when, Little Bear Road's been there for 50 years. Are we gonna wait another 50 years before we come down that with a new line?
Yeah, I doubt it.
I live at the top of Little Bear Road and I have depression problems because everybody below me sucks it away.
Yeah.
And we only have a 3-inch line, so we don't, 37, 38 pound squares is all I have. It's adequate, but it's,
It's not.
back when I had 4 kids in the house, it wasn't very
And more than one shower going at a time.
So I mean, but also, you going down through there, you're talking about hooking up lines all the way down through, there's 2 different ways you can do it, it's just a matter of if it can be done. And it would have to be another grant, because the Water Corporation doesn't have the money to do something like that.
Right.
And to raise the rates to do that would be outlandish.
Mhm.
And from what I understand, that basically we go after a grant every 5 years, but that doesn't mean we get it every 5 years.
Correct, yeah. And that's an Okra grant.
Yeah.
But there may be something else come along
True.
too, that you might be able to take advantage of in between that time frame. But I guess that's what I was thinking about. Even though this new line isn't fed by a 6-amp, to me, those lines that feed it are gonna have to be replaced at some point in time, so why not think ahead long enough or quick enough to be ready for putting in a 6-inch line later to, so I don't know, that was just my concern.
Possibility we put a 6-inch line on Little Bear and just bring the 4-inch and connect it into it through 100 East.
Yeah,
That's something we'd have to talk to the engineer a little more in depth about, so.
okay, all right.
right, and-
Well, I appreciate all you're doing down there. That's,
We had a meeting again last night with people in that area, and I really didn't realize how bad. I thought in that creek bottom area that they'd have plenty of water, but they don't have water. And what water they do have is lime, calcium, iron, even the sulfur smell.
really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I didn't realize it was that bad.
That's well water.
Yes.
Correct.
They're on well in that area,
Yes.
okay.
And that's why they want to get this line,
So they're begging for it.
They're begging.
Pretty much, yeah. So there's people that are out of water.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
And if they drill a new well, it's the same aquifer, so it's gonna be the same bad water, they're
Actually,
getting.
they have the well neighbors told them that, we can drill you a well, but it's not gonna get any better.
Okay.
So,
We've had people tell them, don't test your water. Just don't drink your water, but don't get it tested, because they have everything coming in, the farm fields and everything coming into their wells, and they have to go to the laundromat to do their laundry, they don't have the water pressure. It's disrupting their lives, and they really need that on Little Bear. That's why we want to try to help them with this grant. So.
Well, I'm happy that there's several households in Fayette County that are going to be able to get water because of this. We have a resolution here. The County Commissioners of the County of Fayette, Indiana, authorizing the submittal of the WDW application to the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs and addressing related matters. Whereas the County Commissioners of Fayette County, Indiana recognize the need to stimulate growth and to maintain a sound economy within its corporate limits. Whereas the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974, as amended, authorizes the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs to provide grants to local units of government to meet the housing and community development needs of low and moderate income persons. Whereas the County Commissioners of Fayette County, Indiana has conducted or will conduct public hearings prior to the submission of an application to the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs said public hearings to assess the housing, public facilities, and economic needs of its low and moderate income residents. Now therefore be it resolved by the County Commissioners of Fayette County that, one, the County Commissioners President is authorized to prepare and submit an application for grant funding to address the needed water system improvements for the Everton Water Corporation and to execute and administer a resultant grant, including requisite general administration and project management, contracts and agreements pursuant to regulations of the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs and the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. Two, the Commissioners of Fayette County hereby commit the requisite local funds in the amount of $138,000 from the following sources: $138,000 from the Everton Water Corporation through their existing water utility funds and savings fund, to be contingent upon receipt of WD funding from the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs, adopted by the County Commissioners of the County of Fayette this 20th day of November 2018.
On that resolution, we're still in the process of applying for the grant.
The grant goes in November
Yes.
30th, correct?
Okay. So what's the plans if you're denied? Tom, are you planning on using that money to do some work, or are you gonna sit back and wait for the next
The,
opening for?
the number one priority of that grant is the booster station tower. The IDM is basically keeping an eye on it right now because it's needing to be painted.
Mhm.
And we're holding it off because by the time we figured out what it was gonna cost to paint it and everything, we thought, well, that money we could use towards a grant.
Okay.
So that would be the first project, and
It may have to,
the water extension would probably not happen.
okay. All right.
But they are able to go in again the next round, which
Yeah.
is the first
Yeah,
of the
we
year,
could
so.
go in again the next round next year.
Mhm.
So, I mean, but we would definitely have to do something about the water tower, even if it's a temporary paint job or something.
So you can keep going, you can keep operating
Oh, yeah.
without any problems. I mean, IDEM or anybody hasn't come down on you to,
No,
from that.
they're just watching,
Okay, all right.
like always.
Yeah, yeah.
She visited last year, and she visits every 3 years, and she said she'd get back with us again this year just to see what the progress was at, so.
Or
She
plan.
understands what we're doing.
Yeah,
so.
okay. All right. I would move that we approve that resolution.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes.
And then you have a right-of-way.
Yes, we did, I think we're asking for approval to be able to use the county right-of-way if needed to install the water lines.
Tom, do you know the distance from the roadway that you'll be, the edge of the roadway? Wanting to,
We're putting the water line in.
yeah.
We were hoping to get right-of-ways from each individual person, but that's a time constraint. So that's why we're asking for the county right-of-way. I think after the fact, I think we're still looking at getting individual right-of-ways. And so as far as distance from the road, I couldn't tell you exactly. I mean, we're trying to stay out away from the road because I remember that road 50 years ago was nothing but a one-lane gravel road, and you can hardly pass on it. It's extended now some because of being
You're talking about 100, aren't you?
both,
Um,
both of them,
Okay.
Little Bear.
100 and Little Bear.
Little
both
Bear.
of them were, down in that area was nothing but like a driveway.
Mhm.
So
I'm,
naturally, as extension goes on, we don't want to go so close to the road that 10 years from now, they extend that road out and they bury the water line. We're going to stay out far enough. We'd like to stay out far enough away. There again, I don't know what the right-of-ways distance is out down there. They all vary, so.
but you're gonna trench that pipe
We'll
in.
be trenching
You won't
most of it,
bore it.
yes.
You won't bore it and push it in.
There again, that's up to the contractor. I mean, if they think they can bore it quicker, they're-
I guess what I'm getting at is, if that contractor comes right along the edge of the roadway, that makes our roadway vulnerable.
yes.
If you stay
Yeah.
X number of feet away, then we run less risk of
Mhm.
the roadway caving off.
I understand. I know exactly what you're saying, yeah.
So that's what I was looking at. I didn't know whether you had engineering drawings yet of where you want to put it, or do we need to do that yet
Well,
for the
For
grant?
the grant, it's just a preliminary
Yes.
engineering report that they prepared for us with, so once the grant's funded, then the engineer will get into more of the detailed drawings and where everything's
So-
gonna go. So at this point, we don't need that.
That's what I was wondering.
Correct.
Could we wait on the precise drawings to give you the right of
because
way?
we
There's-
need right of way before we apply.
There's
for
there's
grant.
one form.
That's
in-
what I was
Yeah,
asking.
there's one form in the list of forms that Leota has to sign. And basically, it's the site control form, and the attorney has to sign it. And basically, at this point, we're saying that all work will take place on property already owned by the Everton Water Corporation and in county and in dot right-of-ways. So that form is the form we need signed for the application. However, if the engineer gets out there after the grant's funded and starts laying out the full plans and specs and sees that there is possibly a better way to do this and that we might need to get easements from some properties, then, that's happened before in grants where we've had, the line running down one side of the street and the engineer decides, well, it's cheaper if we go on this side, so we had to get a few more easements. So that's a possibility.
Well, and
So-
I wondered, I remember when I was commissioner before, the city expanded up in Gordon Estates, done some expansion up there. And they ended up going down the streets, and that was part of the project, was resurfacing the streets and so on and so forth. I mean, it seems to me like it might be, the guy ought to know before going into the grant whether it's cheaper to take that water line down the middle of the road.
It's cheaper to get the easements and stay out of county right away, is the cheapest way.
Oh, really?
And that's the preferable way. So once he starts designing it, I'm sure that that would be the preferred way.
Okay. Oh, I see.
But for the grant application, we have to present it as that we're coming in county right away. And because at this point, that's what what the project is designed to. However, once he starts designing it and gets into all the detailed work, I'm sure it's gonna be cheaper to stay out of county right of ways, because you've got the ditches and you've got all the road and everything to deal with, so.
Yeah, that's what I was,
Yeah,
What
I
is
mean,
your deadline for the application, Donna?
November 30th.
I was thinking it was
Yeah.
pretty quick, so you don't have time for some of these things.
I guess I would move that we allow the Everton Water Corporation to utilize the road right-of-ways if necessary, with the stipulation that any crossing of our roadways, that they would bore those crossings.
I'll second
Been moved and seconded that we grant right of way, but if there's any road crossings, they would bore that. All in favor, say aye.
that.
Aye.
3 ayes.
Thank
And
you.
I guess all I'm asking, Tom, is share with us the final drawings
Okay,
and
yeah,
Sure.
before they become final, and to make sure that
yeah,
we're not interrupting roads too badly,
I understand, yeah, okay.
or drainage, for that matter, problems. We don't need to fix one thing to create another
Well,
problem.
they really don't like being in that right of way that too much in, because there's a lot of other things in that right of way. right?
Well, there's phone
Right.
lines, there's,
So
Yes.
For us, it'd be better off if we could just,
go clear over
Yeah.
the fence, on the other side of the fence, and,
Right. I think we needed like 25 easements or something like that, roughly.
yeah, so, okay.
right now, we think we've pretty much got a good chance of getting all of them, but we don't have the time to do it. So, once the grant's approved, and we know we got it, then we can go back.
Take the time. So your goal is not to use the road,
That's
the county's
goal,
right of
yes,
way?
yes.
Okay,
But it's to get a hold of the grant.
to get over the hump of the grant, okay, all right.
Unofficially.
Unofficially.
Okay.
Um, Did you want me to go through all the forms, Leota, or how do you want to handle the forms that are to be signed?
Have
Or,
you- Is there any other motions that we need to?
Oh, sorry.
I'm not sure if I'll say.
We've got immediate promotion. We need to sign Federal Funding Accountability and Transparency Act certification. These just require my signature. Readiness to proceed certification. The County of Fayette hereinafter referred to as the applicant submits the certification to the Indiana Office of the Okra, and that it's a federal community development block grant, and certification is submitted and attain sufficient readiness in order to complete this application. There's a status of required environmental review process, and they've done the things that are necessary on this one. Project engineering and/or architectural services. Chief elected official of the applicant, which is Fayette County, hereby certifies that all preliminary architectural and engineering services are done as required. We have a status of site control. The professional engineer signed that, Kevin Chaffee. We have a status of permits, and Kevin Chaffee signed that one. Applicant recipient disclosure update form. Everton Water Corporation is providing the funds. Civil rights certification. Event and signage guidelines. Assurances and certificates, certification. Now I know why we don't do very many Okra applications.
Okay.
Authorization of submission. So after all that, we get to submit it.
Well, we straightened up about the brown battery in there.
So, really, all that pertains to the motion that we passed to allow them to apply for the Okra grant, right, Jane?
Yes.
So we really don't need any further motions, do we?
I don't think so, after she read them all.
Signatures.
Let me ask you this, Tom, or maybe you can answer this, out of one of you, two of you. Back when I was commissioner before, the Everton Sewer was doing an expansion project and come up into Village Creek and everything. And the commissioners were actually responsible for seeing to it that all properties were returned back to its original state. And I believe it was an Okra grant as well that they used. Will we still be held responsible for, I mean, are we the go-to person for those residents that this project's gonna?
They'll come to, I'm sure we'll hear about it, but the contractor, then the Everton board will make sure that this work is being done correctly. I mean, eventually, you are the applicant responsible for the entire grant, but we will make sure that,
The way I see it is basically if people aren't happy, they'll be coming to us first.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not happy with
Yeah.
Everton Water Corporation's response, so they're gonna be coming to the commissioners.
But,
If they know to come to the commissioners.
okay,
Right now, it's, in their eyes, Everton Water's doing this, but because of the way things work, the commissioners are in charge of it, so.
okay. That's what I was wondering. So when,
But we plan on putting everything back the way.
oh, and everybody always does, but for some reason, there's always, it seems to be something that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You
It's always
know,
one person.
you've been in
Yeah.
those projects before.
So,
So, and that's what I wanted to make sure what I needed to be prepared for.
And going kind of along with that, there's a subrecipient agreement that the county will pass, sign along with the Everton Water Board. And this is all boilerplate, standard federal requirement type things. But your attorney can look at it if she wants to. I'll leave a copy of it with you. But after the grant's funded, then that will be signed by both parties. But basically, I took out what was most important, just this page, right, these pages here. The first page, I kind of put down what Everton as the subrecipient is going to be responsible for, and then at the bottom, the next page, what the applicant, what she'll be responsible for as far as the grant's concerned. Didn't get into detail about what you were talking about here, but if you want to add something to this, or you want to, you know, change it, and however you want to change it, if you see something that needs to be added or changed, just let me know and I can correct it and get it added if you want to.
Could you say this is basically a boilerplate?
Yes, basically. These are pretty much what we see on most of the grants, but this part here we can change. So, and the Everton board has that same document, and they're going to look through it too and see if anything needs to be corrected or changed.
And you
Again,
say
that's
this will be done
after.
after the grant's awarded?
Right.
Okay. So we're not in a big hurry to
No,
get through this. We can
no,
give that to our attorney and
yes.
let
So you
them
can get
go
with
through it.
it. So all the forms just need, all the yellow stickies are yours.
Yes.
Leota, the red is Ann's, and then Jane, you have the 2 green ones are yours.
She's got the green ones.
So. And I'll leave you copies as well as what all is signed.
I got a question. When this where it says you're gonna cut and abandon, you're gonna cap the ends, can a telephone company go in there and shove their cable down through that line? Or when you know, what, do you still have hold of it, you know?
That particular line was put in back when the system was first built in 1968. It actually goes across most of Matthew Richford's property. I think it's all of his property.
Uh-huh,
From the top of the hill by Country Brook,
yeah,
it could basically cut straight south to the booster station, if you know where that's at on 350 south.
yeah.
It feeds that tower. And it's still feeding that tower, along with the new line that was put back in 2002, I think it was. What we're gonna do is we're gonna eliminate that line going across his property, because we don't, it's an old line that we don't really need. The new line is sufficient to fill that
So you won't
tower.
maintain your right-of-way either?
I'm
then?
sorry?
Your intent is not to maintain your right-of-way where that line's going?
Yeah, as far as I know, I don't think anybody knows where the thing's at, to tell you the truth.
Well, I'll tell you, that's what I wanna find
Because
out.
back then, they didn't put any wire in, so it's just a matter of winching it and trying to figure out it's there and then do some exploratory digging. Fortunately, we haven't had a leak that we know of in that area. If we did, it'd be hard to find. So we just would like to get rid of it. It's just,
Yeah.
But I guess what you're saying is
Yeah.
the value of
Yeah,
an underground
conduit.
internet
Yeah.
cable or whatever, that's like.
They have
I don't
done
know,
that.
I don't know what would be an advantage to them, but I mean,
They don't have to bore something or dig it, you know? They find that there, and they can just go ahead and use it, you know, if they find out what it does.
true, but from point A to point B, I don't know what would be their advantage.
Well, you never know, you know?
Yeah, that would be.
But they have done that before on gas lines and stuff like that, I know.
I mean, that goes through that woods, and as far as I know, I mean, we're gonna, once we put the new tower in, we cap it off there, and it's just gonna be abandoned, yeah. That would be up to the Water Corporation and Telephone and Matthew Bridgeford.
Mhm.
I mean, that, I can't answer that question.
I just kinda wondered about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Tom,
you.
how'd they get, no problem, how'd you get by this long without a shower? At the water
Her restroom.
filter? Well, I can
I've been-
see the
I've-
restroom, but the shower
I've
for,
been going down there with Jim for about the last 7 or 8 years, and I'm helping him out, because I'm kind of learning the system. I don't understand why there wasn't one put in when the building was built initially.
yeah, at least
The restroom.
well, just a flush shower. I mean, in case you're contaminated with because you've got chlorine down there, I
We
see.
have water, we had hydrants and stuff down there, you can do it real quick, but I mean, it's just, yeah, I know what you're saying.
I'm surprised that they allowed that for this long.
The
No,
only thing we have down there is chlorine, it's a 12% concentrated, well, I shouldn't say concentrated, but it's a 12% chlorine.
Back in the old days,
To
you
the
could
system.
get away with a lot of that kind of stuff.
Well, you
But
can,
the
but-
pump companies was that way too, and they got the batteries in them office.
yeah, I don't.
They don't have restrooms in some of the small ones.
I mean, I can understand the lack of restroom, but normally,
The women can't.
when you're dealing with chemicals, you've gotta
Back
have
to
a shower.
restroom too, I mean, when we're down there doing a backwash, we're down there 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah,
So you're down there 3 or 4 hours doing the backwash, and you can't shut that, once you start that backwash.
you can't shut it
don't
off.
Shut it off, no. So you're there for 3 or 4 hours.
But now that's a separate location from the old firehouse, isn't it?
Yes.
That's what I
The
thought.
treatment plant is across the river from IMI, to the east.
To the east of the river.
It's to the south of Riverbend subdivision. You can actually go into Riverbend subdivision, you can see the treatment plant building back there.
Oh, really? Okay.
We actually have a right of way to build a road from Riverbend subdivision back to the treatment plant if we wanted to. Again, it's a matter of money, because now we have to cross, Village Creek, which is, the actual creek, Village Creek. To get to it, you have to cross it, and when the water's up, you can't get across it.
I see. I didn't realize it was back there.
Yeah, the wells are back there too, so.
Well, I was thinking you had at least one well up that, there, but you've got 3 up there?
It's the old Horning farm. You come out of the triangle,
Mm-hmm.
you're going into the triangle from the north, and then right when you split, that first place right there on the right,
Yeah.
it belonged to that. But the water corporation actually owns the land around the wells and the.
For the wellhead head protection plan, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Learn something new every day.
All right, next.
Thank
thing
you
on the-
for
Thank
your
you.
effort.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Next thing on our agenda today is title search quote for the deed sale. We have 2 title search places in town. One of them said they were too busy and they chose not to even give us a bid. The other one offered to do the title search for our deed sale for $100 per deed, and since Mr. Joe told us from SRI that $150 would be a good price, I recommend that we accept that quote for $100 per deed.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that thought.
Move that we accept the quote and what is the title search?
Fayette County.
Fayette County Abstract.
Fayette County
Of $100 per.
Of $100
Per parcel, is it?
Yes. There are 44 parcels.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept Fayette County Abstract's bid for $100 per parcel. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes.
Jane, chances are that, will that come due before the end of the year?
Yes.
It will come due, okay. I was gonna say, if it doesn't, if it's not paid, we can encumber that
Yeah.
that contractual service monies to cover that. Okay, great.
We also have a quote for dental insurance from Sun Life, who is part of our health insurance program for the county. And we've been with Delta Dental, and Sun Life is matching the same services, and it would be one less company that our employees would have to deal with, because Sun Life has the life insurance. The amount is for the same, and they guaranteed the premium for 2 years. And I would recommend that we accept that.
Leota, is that Delta is pretty well accepted with most of our dentists here in town? Is,
Sun
what's-
Life is also,
are they? Okay. That would be my concern.
yes.
I wouldn't wanna give them a plan that they have to leave town to get dental service to be able to utilize it, so. I'd move that we approve this, the change to, go with Sun Life, on our dental plan.
For second.
Been moved and seconded to approve Sun Life. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's 3 ayes. And Jane has presented us with the 2019 meeting claims and holiday calendars for the coming year. Since I won't be here, what do you guys think? Would you like it or not?
Did you send it back out, Jane, with
I did,
that
the one
suggested
that,
time?
yes, the one that she has in her stack has, 2 PM for the
Did
meeting.
you
time.
bring that Drainage, 1:30? Yeah. Is that okay with you? Well, I don't think Dale was opposed.
Dale
to it.
liked it.
He liked that, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, I would move that we approve this calendar.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve the calendar. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes.
Jane, when will we be accepting our bids for coming year for a highway garage? When will that bid opening
At the
be?
18th meeting,
The 18th meeting
Yes.
as well?
yes.
And most likely, well, we should be able to approve those that same day, shouldn't we?
Yes.
We'll give,
But what we've done the last
Jay-
couple of years is accept them all and then give them,
yeah, the roundup.
yeah, where they
Yeah.
can.
Are there any other bids products that we need to bid out and advertise for, besides the highway garage?
Not that I'm aware of right now.
Is there anything else that we need to do to finish up the year? Madam Secretary?
It's only November.
I know, but December will be gone before we know.
Yeah.
I,
It goes real fast.
The
I'll
only thing
review
we
what
have
we
not
did last
accomplished was getting Adrian to put a bid out for the
Yeah.
EMS building.
Yeah, he has yet to get that put together, but I couldn't think of anything else that needed to be addressed. We'll have to, we'll address, we do need to address appointments after the
That'll be first meeting.
coming year. We can-
Yes.
And could we go through, could we make sure that we have our board appointments and so on and so forth, all of those appointments that put together so that we know what boards are coming up and,
Yes.
because we've been kind of laxed in that, with that the last year or so. I know we make appointments, there's several appointments that are made to Community Corrections Board, that by the commissioners that,
We have found that what's happening is that sometimes the heads of these departments have just come and asked for an appointment and to replace somebody or to renew an appointment. And I think they are commissioners' appointments, and we've approved them without realizing that
what's
we-
going on,
it was our authority.
It was our
That-
responsibility to research those, and,
That's what happened with the health board appointment.
yes. And I just think if we could get ahead of it,
I found the list in Frank's file box of all the appointments, but that did not include the community corrections, but the information you had on the community corrections, I think we need to
Yeah.
resolve that.
yeah, we need to really look at that, look a little closer at that.
I'll move to approve the claims and payroll.
Second?
Been moved and seconded to approve claims and payroll. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. Now we've got lots of papers to sign, fellas.
Okay.
This we're gonna have to worry about today.
Jane, did you recognize the gentleman that was in here
I did not.
and left? I didn't know whether he had actually been put on the agenda or no.
No, that was Jack Furman. He was here about the deeds. I'm sure that you saw that on, he's interested in the commissioner deed sale.
Who'd you say it was?
Jack Furman. He buys lots of
Really?
properties in Taylor County.
We had a, with the dog pound, like the little one, the reason that they made, you got cats, courts have them all. They had to know the vet, this was the vet bill on their deed. case you
with the
run
K.
across that, that's what that
Yeah,
is.
we gotta make sure that stays with the case.
All that money for
Because-
that, and it died.
Because if the prosecutor and the judge doesn't know that it's there,
Yeah,
they're not gonna arbitrarily ask.
yeah, I know. James ran across that yesterday, and she questioned it, not to know what it was.
Never mind.
People pay that for a pet, you know.
Oh, I know.
Well, I was crazy.
See, that's what there was a piece of property on 40 that was for sale. I wanted to buy it. It was a house, 11 acres or something like that. And she said, "Why don't we do that?" And I said, "I want to take the house and turn it into that mortuary. And I want to take the property and make it a
Yeah.
cemetery."
People do it.
And she said, "Well, you're just flat lost it."
She don't realize how devoted people are.
So later down the road, she said something else. Steve Roberts did. And he said, "Let me tell you something. People will pay for their pets to be buried before they'll pay for their relatives."
I wouldn't doubt that.
He says, "Your husband,
You're right.
Your husband wasn't so far fetched with his thoughts." But I want Pat crematory.
Yeah, that would. Well, that, not only that, you could also be making for the counties and stuff like that. I never really thought about that. Pet mortician. I don't even think you have to be licensed.
I don't know, but I was sure willing to check into it.
Guess we have to sign that.
One time, we had a cat die. My son, he was real little. He kept going back out and digging the cat back. He probably done that 6 or 7 times.
Well, I'll tell you what, they talk about animals not having feelings. We had a Great Pyrenees that I had to put down because he had cancer.
Yeah.
And I brought him home, dug a hole to bury him. And our pit bull, before I could start covering him up, climbed down in the hole and laid with him.
Oh,
And I couldn't, I like never got him.
yeah. Yeah, they got feelings, just as everybody else does.
And I thought, now, that doesn't verify that animals have feelings for other animals. Nothing does.
We get a lot of that with horse people too. They'll have a goat for a partner for their horse, you know.
Mm-hmm.
One of them dies, the other one really misses the other one.
Yeah.
We have to sign this thing.
Oh, I bet we need to approve that, don't we?
Huh?
I bet we have to approve these, don't we?
What is it?
The
The
special
special
meeting.
meeting?
I move that we approve the minutes of the special meeting held November 14th.
I'll second it.
Then moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That was probably appropriate, wasn't it, Jane? That we get, not arbitrarily include that in the regular minutes.
on the back page. There's 2 copies, so. No, we didn't put any sign here. Here it is.
Just 2 signature pages?
Yes,
Okay.
that's all I found.
All right.
If he needs more, he'll just have to catch us later.
Do you want me to reach out to Kim?
Huh?
Do you want me to reach out to Kim on that jail?
Yeah.
Sounds like a
Yeah,
good
'cause I
idea.
never thought about the idea you had.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we can afford to have our pre-trials in Richmond.
Yeah.
Because
Well, we've
they're
got-
marched to trial, or to the courts so often
Yeah.
until they
We've got room in our facility for,
You know,
pre-trial.
what they need to do is put the court system and everything by it, you know, for the whole county. I know it's kind of ridiculous.
And see, that was the concept that we were looking at before we did the courthouse. Well, if we're gonna redo our courts, we gotta sign that one here, is there no? The old chief. Right, we have you found another one.
okay.
So there's probably 2 of them. Cause there's 2 copies of everything.
Okay.
So there's probably another one in there somewhere marked, just like this one. And that plastic there.
Two.
What's that title?
One signature, 2 signatures for ABC.
There it is. That's right.
I found another one too.
Oh, great.
Well, you're gonna be that way.
You gotta
We're running out of ink here.
separate them by their paper clips. They get too loose with the paper clips.
I'm about to forget what my name is here.
There's another one there.
Okay.
And here's another one here.
Twentieth date, November.
Wonder if this one's got one too. Yep.
What are we signing, fellas? Are these all
They're
signed?
copies.
Oh, they're just copies.
Yeah, they're different copies of the same thing. This looks like the original. Yeah. This is the original. She needs that one.
Okay.
You need this one again. Those 2 have been signed. This one I think's been signed. Yep. This one has been signed. That one's been signed.
Charles Harrell. I didn't know Ed's name was Charles.
James
We hope you can find them all.
Hand me the bill stack.
There's about 2,000 of them, Jane. And there's that stack for Everton Water Corporation.
I don't know, are we done?
I think so.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye. Meeting is adjourned.